Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 29th of January and welcome to the newspaper analysis. So friends who are new here, we will be taking up the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper as well as also we will be taking up the good articles from the Indian Express explained section and the PDF that I will be using here. You can download the PDF from the Telegram channel. The link for the channel has been given in the description box. Now, starting up with the discussion, but before that, let's see the overview of the important articles to understand that which articles will be important for our examination. Now, first of all, let's see the articles from the Indian Express explained section. Now, in the explained section, we can see that the first article, it is talking about the Jats and the BJP in the Uttar Pradesh. Now, this particular article is the political article, not at all important for your examination. So please avoid this particular article. Then further moving on, Moderna's HIV vaccine promising miles to go. So we will be seeing this article with respect to the UPSC examination, that what is important here. Then a beautiful secret, Garcia Marquez's daughter. Nothing important into this particular article is with respect to the examination. Fine. So after that, let's move to the Hindu newspaper. So guys, the Hindu newspaper today, the Saturday, the text and the context section doesn't comes, which we take every day, which contains some of a very good, excellent articles. So it doesn't comes as today is the Saturday. Now, on the first page, here we can see that the Supreme Court quashes a year's suspension on 12 Maharashtra BJP MLAs. Fine. Now, in this particular direction, we will be seeing the Supreme Court's observation that what needs to be the role of the legislators in the parliamentary proceedings. Fine, in the legislature. Fine. So that is the thing. Fine. Willing to talk to Pakistan on pilgrims flight India. Now just 2 days back we have taken this particular dimension already. What has happened in basically a religious body in the Pakistan, it has requested the Indian authorities that the pilgrims from the Pakistan, non-Muslim pilgrims from the Pakistan, they should be allowed to come in India to visit some of their holy shrines. Fine. So on to that particular thing, now India had said that okay, we will talk on this particular thing. We have already taken one editorial in this particular direction where we have seen that they should be allowed, because now around 5 years have happened that the diplomatic relations between the India and Pakistan, they have went so much down, and people to people ties have always been very important for a country. So we should think on that. So government had said that we'll think. However, nothing substantial has come apart from this particular thing. So don't go too much in deep. Then state must decide on SC/ST quota. We'll see this article. Then after that, don't want wars but want let interest be ignored. So yesterday we have seen one article on Russia and USA. So guys, we now see that a kind of again, I every day say that a proxy war is going on between the Russia and the USA over the Ukraine. Fine. So that is just a kind of a thing every day, not at all needed to go into this particular direction. Then further moving on, so after that the city section contains the issues with respect to the rising number of cases, the impact on the poor people, etc. Such things have been provided. However, nothing is very much important into this particular direction has been given. Fine. Then further moving on, we will be reaching to the editorial section. In the editorial section, the first article, to the poll booth with the no donor knowledge. So with respect to the electoral bond scheme, we'll see this particular article. Then the below article, graph talk and the top court's inexplicable silence. We'll see this briefly what this article is talking about. Then this article is talking about the Central Asian region. Recently, the Central Asia Virtual Summit has happened. Fine. Then Valley and the hills. So the BJP's strategy to bridge the divide between tribals and non-tribal people. So the strategy of the BJP is being discussed here. Fine. Political article, not important for our examination. A failing red zone in Telangana. So see, today is Saturday. In Saturday, there is a ground zero report that comes. Now this ground zero report basically talk from the ground. Okay, it takes one particular issue from the people's perspective. Okay, it just narrates a kind of a story. So recently what had happened, a series of killings have happened in the Telangana. So with respect to the article, much of academically it is not important. It is just telling a story that okay, this happened, then this happened, not at all important. However, just the concept of this red zone, the concept of Maoism, fine, we will be seeing here. Then moving on, after that, engage in debates in the house, not in ridiculing each other. We'll see that what have been the Supreme Court's observation in this particular direction. Then the youth of country can boost vocal for local campaign. Now India basically has started the vocal for local in order to show the Atmanirbharta. Find the self-sufficiency or the self-reliance have been an important theme which came under the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. And into this self-reliance, we need to as a part of the self-reliance, we need to go for the vocal for local campaign, where the youth will have a very important role. They need to choose their preferences, they need to choose their consumption preferences, and need to promote more of local goods. So this is just a message that has been given. Fine. Now, Philippines inks $375 million BrahMos missile deal. Now, guys, see, this is the first export order for the missile. We have seen in the past also many articles onto the BrahMos. BrahMos, it is a joint collaboration between the India and Russia, where the missile have been developed, and now the first order we got from the Philippines. Just one-liner concept is important here, that now the commercialization of Indian defense sector is happening, which is very much important into the long term. So baby steps have been taken. The Philippines have signed a 375 million deal. In the long term, it is setting a course for a trajectory that India can become a substantial defense exporter. Commercialization of the defense exports have started. So just that thing you need to see. Then further moving on, the political articles, political news, nothing very much important for our examination. Rising number of COVID cases are there. Study raises concern for Neo-Cov. So basically, Neo-Cov, it is a new strain of COVID virus, coronavirus, that have been found in bats. Is it clear? See, there is a new strain of coronavirus found into the bats right now. Right now, this virus is not transmissible in humans. Fine, it will not come in human, but a study in the China has found that only one molecular change, if it came into this new COV virus, then it will become transmissible to the humans. Fine, so just this study has come. However, the study is not peer reviewed up till now. Study is not peer reviewed up till now, so therefore not important to go into the examination. 6% of MSMEs owned by SC scheduled caste entrepreneurs. We'll see this particular thing. India closely following the developments in the Ukraine. So I have told you that the Ukraine has become a proxy ground between the USA and the Russia. Is it clear? Russia wants to annex the Ukraine, but the USA says that if you will do that particular thing, then there will be the dire consequences that Russia will face. Is it clear? So this is just the thing that is going on, nothing more than this. Then further moving on, Putin to attend Winter Olympics, nothing important with respect to our examination. Fine. Then the economic crisis grips the Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka's economic condition, particularly after the pandemic, had went very bad, and now basically in the hinterlands, the food shortages, etc., have been there. Then after that, guys, onto the business page. Fine, RBI's accommodative approach has served well. Fine, RBI's accommodative approach, where the interest rates have been kept low, it has served. Just an opinion has been given. Fine. Supreme Court gives SpiceJet 3 weeks time to resolve banks to transfer 5. Now, all these articles, all the articles which have been given here, they are just talking about the evolutionary trends with respect to the corporates and all such kind of things. Fine. That is about it. And after that, the sports page comes. So that is all about the overview of the today's newspaper. And now let's take all these articles one by one in the detail. Now, starting up, so every class we start with a GS quote which you can use in one of your paper. So today we will be taking the quote from the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi ji. So Gandhi ji says that the greatness of humanity is not in being human but in being humane. Fine. So the greatness of humanity is not being inhuman. This is just a natural selection. It is just a natural chance that you have been born in a species of Homo sapiens. So being a Homo sapien, being a human, is not the mark of your humanity. The mark of your humanity is being humane. And the humaneness comes from two of the values, that is the empathy and the compassion. So more the empathy and compassion we can portray in our behaviors, more the empathy and compassion we can inculcate, the more the humaneness will come, and this humaneness will bring the humanity, which is the great quality of a human. So this is the idea that we can take, and directly you can utilize in your GS paper number 4 topic of ethics, GS paper number 4 topic number 1, ethics and human interface. Directly we can utilize it. So that is about this particular GS quote. And now let's take the first article. Okay, so the first article we have taken from the Indian Express explained section, and this particular article will be important for our GS paper number 3, issues related to the science and tech. Fine, issues related to the science and tech, and the prelims examination, your preliminary test, this particular thing can be used. Fine. Now, basically what has happened? Moderna's HIV vaccine promising miles to go. So HIV, fine, HIV, it stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus. Now this HIV virus, human immunodeficiency virus, when it attacks the human body, it attacks the immune system. Now the immune system is responsible in saving us from so many of the viruses, so many of the other infections, diseases, etc. Your immune system is the first wall of your body's defense. Now the HIV virus compromises the immune system, and what happens when the immune system has been compromised, the person will fall ill to many of the infections, to many of the basically bacterial infestations, virus attacks, which usually he might not be falling ill. And then what will happen, the quality of life will go down, and eventually a person might die because of some kind of a common infection which could have not been severe in a case if a person had not infected the HIV. Now the HIV, if it is not treated, it turns into AIDS. HIV, if not treated, it turns into AIDS, that is the acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Now the HIV virus can be transmitted due to the infested syringes. It might be transmitted due to unsafe sexual penetration with a person who had been infected. So the HIV AIDS can enter into the human body. Since 1980s, HIV has been a very big health concern, and so many people have died up till today. For the HIV, there is no proven, see, there are the ART, antiretroviral therapies are there, which gives some of the relief from the HIV, but the short proven medication for the HIV is not there. Now, there is a hope that for the HIV, a vaccine can be developed. So, vaccines are different from the medicine. Vaccine will give you a immunity, okay, before a disease has you have encountered, the vaccine will give you the immunity. So, for HIV, the vaccine is being searched by the Moderna. Now the Moderna is working for mRNA vaccine. Moderna is working for the mRNA vaccine. Now, up till now, neither the vaccine has been approved nor the vaccine is commercially available. Just the mRNA vaccine is being worked by the Moderna. So, with respect to this, we don't need to go because it is just a pipeline project that is there. So, what becomes important? The mRNA, it becomes important. What is this mRNA technique? It becomes important for our prelims examination on which the HIV vaccine will be built. Now understand this particular thing. The mRNA technique of making the vaccine, it is basically the scientist community, they were working on this technique for so many of the years, but now finally in the COVID-19 pandemic, the commercial mRNA vaccines have been rolled for the SARS-CoV-2. So this mRNA platform is a new platform which has now come. So let's understand these mRNA vaccines. Fine. Now guys, before going into this mRNA vaccine, first of all, some of the very basic things we are going to take up. See, what happens? What happens when a body encounters a virus, or let's say that how we fall ill. So a very simple mechanism is there. What happens? There is an antigen. This antigen could be a virus, it could be any bacteria, it could be any pathogen. It can enter your body. When it will enter your body, what will happen? It will infect your cells. Now guys, the moment a virus had infected your cell, what will happen? The virus will transmit its RNA material. Fine. Some of the viruses, they also contain the DNA. So the basically genetic material RNA will be transferred into a cell. Then the cell will replicate that particular virus, and what will happen? Many copies of the virus will be developed in your body, and you will start to fall ill. Fine. Now, as this particular thing is going on, what will happen? Your body's immune system will kick in, and the immune system will then kill these kind of virus or these kind of antigens which are being replicated in your body. This is a very basic way as how our immune system works. Fine. Now, let's come to the coronavirus. So basically, you might have seen basically the SARS-CoV-2. It looks something like this. On them, there are the spikes that are there. Now, these spike protein that you can see, these are the most problematic thing into the SARS-CoV-2 virus. What happens? These spike protein, fine, when, let's say, you came in contact with the infected person, that infected person had transmitted this SARS-CoV-2 virus in your body. I inhaled that SARS-CoV-2 virus. Now when this SARS-CoV-2 virus will go in my body, it will attach with the cell in my body, with the healthy cell in my body. Now the human cell, they have these ACE2 receptors. Now these ACE2 receptors, they are something like this, and with this ACE2 receptor, the spike, it locks it up, and through this ACE receptor, this the SARS-CoV-2 virus will transmit its RNA in our cell. It will transmit its RNA in our cell. Now guys, when we talk about the RNA, these are, just a minute, these RNA, these are just simple single strand structures. Now in the simple words, what this RNA is simply a code. RNA is simply a code which gives the direction to a cell. Once this, just see guys, once this particular RNA will come into the cell, RNA is just a kind of a code, just an instruction that is given to the cell that makes more copy of this particular virus. Now the cell will replicate this particular RNA, and many more copies of this virus will be made in your body. Now as these copies of the virus will be created, these copies will further infect other cells. They will make further more copies, then they will infect further more cells, they will make further more copies. So this spike protein and its connection with the ACE2 is a problematic thing. Now guys, in normal course of time, as the replication is going on, the immune system will kick in. As this replication is going on, the immune system will kick in, and then the immune system will send the antibodies. These antibodies will kill the virus cells that have been there. Is it clear? Sometimes what happens, the time in which our immune system will come in response, by that time so much of the replication of the virus would have happened that our immune system might not be able to fight with it. Or let's say, even if the immune system had fought with the SARS-CoV-2 virus, what would have happened? There might be some substantial damage to some other organs that would have happened. Is it clear? Now into the case of the SARS-CoV-2 virus, we have seen it infects the lungs. It can go the lungs, it can cause the pneumonia into the lungs. In the mean course of a time, a person might have been treated with the COVID, but now the pneumonia in the lungs, it is a very big problem by which the people might die. They will need ventilator, they will need oxygen support, because the lungs now have become dysfunctional. So basically the vaccine can alert. Now the vaccine can be important. How the vaccines will do work? What vaccines can do? Vaccines can simply alert our immune system even before the real virus had come in our body. It can just alert the immune system. A very basic example we can do, that we can take, that what immune system will do. Basically, vaccine is just to show a picture, is just to show the photo of the virus to the immune system. We just show the photo of the virus to the immune system, and we tell the immune system that if in future this particular virus will come in my body, then the moment you see this particular virus, fight with it and destroy this particular virus. So vaccine is just a kind of a photo that we are showing. It is just kind of a tipping that we are doing into the immune system. Now guys, when we talk about the vaccines, there are the different types of vaccines that are there. Basically the traditional vaccines that are there, they used two types of technologies. Either they will use the live weekend virus, is it clear? A very live but a very weak version of the virus will be used. For example, in the polio, what happens? Very weak polio version of the polio virus, it is just given to our body when we are given those polio drops. Now when this live weak virus will go in our body, it will just kick our immune system. Our immune system will fight with this particular polio virus, but in response, what will happen? It will generate the antibodies, and these antibodies will be remembered by our body. Fine, these antibodies will be remembered by the B cell, by the memory cell of our body, and in future, if the real polio virus will enter the body, this immune body, this antibodies which have been already prepared, they will fight with it. So the live virus but a weakened version can be given, or inactivated virus can also be induced. Inactivated virus can also be induced. It will again go into the body, the immune system will see it, will prepare the antibodies, and these antibodies will then be remembered by the B cell, by the memory cell, and then in future if the virus will come, it will be used. So the traditional vaccines have been prepared into this particular manner. But now the mRNA vaccines, they have come. How they are different? So mRNA, it stands for the messenger RNA. mRNA, it stands for the messenger RNA. What we do into the mRNA? So basically, for example, this is the SARS-CoV-2 RNA. This is, let's say, the SARS-CoV-2 RNA. So into this SARS-CoV-2 RNA, there is one particular part of this RNA which is carrying the code for the spike protein, which is carrying the code for this spike protein. Is it clear? So what will be done? This particular section of the virus's RNA, it will be taken. Fine, just to see here, guys, what will happen. So mRNA vaccines, how they will work. So this is the SARS-CoV-2 virus, and basically mRNA's part will be taken, which is having the code for this spike protein, and then this particular code we will be basically using, and on this particular code a vaccine will be developed. Onto this particular code a vaccine will be developed, and then this particular vaccine will be given to a human being. This particular vaccine will be given to a human being. Now the moment this particular vaccine will be taken, what will happen? Basically, through the lipid nanoparticles, there will be the lipid nanoparticles. Fine, into this vaccine, what are there? They are the lipid nanoparticles. Now these lipid nanoparticles, they are carrying the code to make this spike protein. Fine, they are carrying the code to make this spike protein. Now this particular code to make the spike protein will enter into the cell, and what will happen? Our cell will start. Now the cell will not make the entire virus. The cell will not make the entire virus. Cell will just make the spikes. Cell will just make the spikes. Now, as these spikes are being released in our body, what will happen? Our immune system will get tipped off. Our immune system will get alert, and our immune system will kill these spikes which have just been made, and this spikes structure will be remembered into the B cells. It will be remembered into the memory cells of our body, and in future, if this real SARS-CoV-2 virus is coming, I have told you that SARS-CoV-2 virus, from where the problem begins? The problem begins that this SARS-CoV-2 virus's spike, it binds with this ACE2 receptor in our body. So this spike is a problem. So now what had happened? Already the spikes have been created, and these spikes have been killed, and these spikes have been known by our immune system, and the antibodies have been prepared. So if in future the cell will come, that this virus will come, what can happen? That virus will be killed by our immune system. Already in stock, the antibodies have been made. Now, why the mRNA vaccines are very much are important, or how mRNA vaccines will be the game changer? They will be the game changer. Number one, what will happen? As the live virus or inactive virus are not being used, basically the mRNA are more safe. Sometimes what had happened, these particular vaccines itself might become dangerous because the virus is being given. But here the virus is not being used. Just a code of a particular part of a virus's structure is being used, which is not harmful. Second thing, what happens? Basically, when the live virus is to be given, or weakened version of virus is to be given, then those viruses are to be cultured. And culturing that particular virus might be a time-taking process. But here, we don't need to culture. Just mRNA vaccines, they can be scaled up very easily, and their manufacturing will be very much easy when compared to the other viruses, the other vaccine versions. Now onto this particular mRNA platform. On this particular mRNA platform, basically what has happened, the Mrna is trying to build the vaccine for the HIV. So basically the specific structure within the HIV, the specific structure in the HIV which is giving the HIV entry into the human cell, that particular structure will be replicated. Those structures will be copied, those structures will be coded, and these structures will be already given into the human body, and then we will already be preparing the antibodies which can be used laterwards. So this is just the basic philosophy as how it will be working. Is it clear? However, up till now it has not been completed, it has not been approved, so it is just a pipeline project that is there. So this is just the things that you need to understand. And guys, understand this particular thing, that if you have the broad idea of all these things, you will be well able to answer these things, because into the UPSC broad theme based questions are asked. There was already the question that came onto the SARS-CoV-2. The question was very simple. It was said that we have heard about the ACE2. What is this ACE2, or with which this ACE2 is associated? So very simple question was it. Okay, so if you have understood all these particular things, I believe that if any kind of a question will come into the exam, fine, you will be able to answer it. So that is all about this particular issue. And now moving to the next article. Okay, now the article, we have taken it from the Hindu newspaper. States must decide on SC/ST quota in promotions, Supreme Court. So basically, this particular article will be important in our GS paper number 2, affirmative action. Affirmative action or the policy of reservation. Affirmative action or the policy of reservation, it will be important. Now understand this particular thing. See the background. First of all, understanding the background is very much important. See, this article will not make any sense if we don't know the background. So understanding the background first. Background. See, okay. So what is this background? Background is like this, that India is a welfarist state. India is a welfarist state, and being a welfarist state, we need to provide the welfare to all the people. We need to provide the equal opportunity to all the people. We need to provide the justice to all the people. But sometimes the justice cannot be given because certain people, they are historically disadvantaged. Fine, simply giving the equal level playing field might not be helping because of the historical injustices, disadvantages that are there. So certain communities are given a head start, certain communities are given more support, and here comes the question, here comes the reservations. Is it clear? So the reservations we give to some specific sections. Now guys, when we talk about the reservation, there is the article 16(4) in our constitution. Article 16(4) in our constitution, it provides that the state can make any provision for the reservation of appointment or post in favor of any backward class of citizen who in the opinion of state are not adequately represented under the service under the state. And you know that the reservation are given to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe also. Now guys, when we talk about the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe reservation, there comes one more article which is very important, that is article 16(4)(a). Now this article 16(4)(a), it provides that okay, the reservation is being given to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe into the jobs. They are being given the reservation, but according to it, the state can, even if it want, it can give the reservation in the matters of promotion. So once you are joining, you are being given reservation. After you have joined, in the matters of promotion also, the reservation can be given. So the reservation can be given to the scheduled caste. It can be given to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe if they are not adequately represented in the service. So in promotion, reservation is being given. Now this 16(4)(a), this particular provision of the constitution was added by the 77th Constitutional Amendment Act in 1995. So the promotion, the reservation in promotion was given. Moreover guys, there was article 16(4)(b) also that is there in our constitution, which is added by the 81st Constitutional Amendment Act of 2000. Now according to that, it has been said that unfilled SC/ST quota for particular year can be carried forward to the next year. Fine, certain reservations were to be given to the SC/ST. Fine, and those reservations, let's say, were also be given to the promotion, but those reservations have not been given. Let's say that the 100 seats of reservation were to be given, but only 80 have been given. Then these extra 20 will be carried forward in the next year. So these are certain provisions with respect to the reservation for the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe. We have learned two things. They are given the reservation for appointment, and secondly, they are given reservation even in the promotion. Now, this particular thing, that is giving reservation in promotion, was not liked by certain people. And what happened, a petition was made into the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court, in one of a judgment, the judgment becomes important here. The judgment was the M. Nagaraj case. Now in this M. Nagaraj case, when it was questioned that giving them reservation in promotion is right or wrong, the Supreme Court upheld the constitutional validity. They said that the SC and ST, they can be given the reservation in the promotion, not at all a problem. But there are certain conditionalities that were imposed by the Supreme Court in the M. Nagaraj case. What were the conditionalities? Number one, the Supreme Court provided that state is not bound to make reservation for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe in the matters of promotion. You cannot ask it as a matter of your fundamental right. State is not compelled. If the state will feel, it can give it. If it don't want, it might not give it. You cannot force a state. Number one. Number two, it has provided that if in a case state is giving the reservation, it has to collect the quantifiable data To show the backwardness of that particular class, you need to have some data, you need to have some evidence to show that yes, this particular class is backward and it needs a promotion in the it needs a reservation in the promotion. So quantifiable data needs to be there. Then the third thing that was provided is there, that you need to show inadequacy of representation of that class in public employment. You need to show that these classes people are not properly represented. Clear? Let's say their proportion is 10%, but only 1% of them, only 1% is the representation in job. So inadequacy of their representation is also to be shown by the state government. And then the fourth condition that was there is that you need to ensure that the limit of 50%. Now, many times we have seen it in our articles that the Indira Sahani judgment of 1992 was there, which imposed a limit of 50%. The reservations cannot go beyond the 50%. So, the limit of ceiling of 50% is to be followed. All these things came into the M. Nagaraj case for the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe promotion in reservation in the promotion. Now, guys, after this particular thing, this thing was again questioned by the Supreme Court that please refer the matter to a higher bench, that whether this reservation in promotion is good or not. Then there is one more judgment of Supreme Court that came. That was the Jarnail Singh versus L.N. Gupta judgment of 2018. Now into this Jarnail Singh judgment, Supreme Court provided this thing that, see, only one thing Supreme Court provided here, that the states who are giving the reservation in the promotions to the SC and ST, they will collect the quantifiable data, but they are not required to present this quantifiable data. Fine, they are not required to present this quantifiable data to the Supreme Court or somewhere else. Just collect it and you can give it. Earlier they were required to present that quantifiable data. Now what happened? They don't need to present that quantifiable data. So what is the status as of today? As of today, the C and ST will be given the reservation in the promotion as well. Now guys, as this particular matter was there, basically the Supreme Court was requested that you please tell the yardstick, you just tell the way in which we can. Supreme Court just was asked to give the yardstick that how we will determine the inadequacy. What will be the formula to determine the inadequacy? In what case you can say that they are inadequately represented? Tell us this particular formula to determine the inadequacies. And here this particular article will begin. So guys, this was the entire background to this particular article, and now coming to this article. So what Supreme Court had said, now Supreme Court, when I told you they were asked that okay, tell us how to see whether they are inadequately represented. So Supreme Court has now refused to lay down the yardstick for determining the inadequacy of representation for granting the promotion. Supreme Court had said that we will not give any yardstick, we will not be telling that how their inadequacy will be calculated. You just decide at your own. It is just your tension, not as a tension. Supreme Court said that the states are the equal partner in federalism. The states, the logic of the state Supreme Court is this, that the states are equal partner in the federalism and it is their autonomy. The state should decide as per their own wisdom that how their inadequacy is to be calculated and how it is not to be calculated. We will not be giving a one size fit all formula which everybody has to follow. You just decide by your own that how you will calculate the inadequacy. We will not be giving any kind of formula. This is something the Supreme Court that has said. Now guys, one more important thing. Supreme Court had said that the cadre and not the class or the entire service is needed to be considered, or a cadre is to be considered. Now understand this particular thing. Fine. You have entire service. Let's say that the entire service of IAS officers. This is the entire service. Let's say there is one particular community, X community. Now let's say this X community, it is a scheduled caste community. Clear? If we see, just I'm taking a hypothetical example, X is a scheduled caste community. If we see in the entire country, there are, let's say, 10% people of the scheduled caste that are there. Now within the IAS, let's say that the 10% scheduled caste are there in entire India. In entire India, if you see in IAS, 10% people of the X caste is there, and in an entire India also there are the 10% people of the S caste. Fine. If you find, then the proper representation have been given to the X caste into the IAS. Proper representation, their proportion in population is also 10%, and within the jobs also the 10% jobs have been given to the X caste. Not at all a problem, properly represented. Now guys, this IAS is a complete job. Fine, this IAS is a service, but the IAS officers will be divided in the different state cadres. They will be divided into the different state cadre. Let's say the cadre of Bihar, the cadre of, let's say, Haryana, there is a cadre of Gujarat. Why? Different state cadres will be there, and as per that particular state's requirement, a few IAS officers will be given to them. Let's say total there are 200 IAS officers, few will be given here, few will be given here, few will be given here. Now see, let's say that this is one particular state. Into this particular state, let's say that in a particular job, let's say in a particular job, let's say into this particular state, the X community, their members are 10% into the entire state. Their members are 10% into the entire state. But the job that is there within this particular state, the job that is there, let's say only 5% representation is there within the state. On entire country, representation is fine, but within the state there might be the disparities. So this state can still give the reservation in promotion. So it has been said that the entire service, now just please read this, the Supreme Court, it held that it held that the cadre and not the class of entire service that is to be considered. Fine, so the cadre is to be considered. So in a simple words, what it means, don't get confused. What it means in simple words, it means you just don't bother that whether into the entire service how many percentage of the scheduled caste are there. You see whether in your state they are properly represented or not. You see in your state cadre whether they are properly represented or not. If not, give them reservation in promotion, collect data at your own, determine your own yardstick, keep the data at you, give them the reservation in promotion. This is the bottom line message that has been there. Is it clear? So guys, I hope that it has understood. Fine. Explaining such elaborately the article, what is the logic? Logic is simple this, that if I will tell you this much, then you will be able to retain this much. If I will tell you this much, then you will be able to retain this much. Your exam needs this much. If you retain this much, then this much you can write in your exam. Is it clear? And if I just directly will be telling you this much, then in exam there might be some problem that will be coming. So this is just the logic to understand all these particular things in such elaboration. So that is all about it. And now moving to the next article. Okay, so this is the article where the Supreme Court has made certain observation with respect to the role of the legislators. The role of the legislator, Supreme Court has made certain observation here. So basically what has happened, the Supreme Court, while discussing the way in which the legislators need to behave in the parliament, behave into the legislators, some very good observation has been made. Supreme Court had said that the India, we as a nation, we are aspiring to be a world leader. Fine, and the debates in the parliament that are going on, these debates are deciding the welfare of the citizens. Fine, these debates are deciding factor for the social justice that will be given. It will decide the rights that will be given. It will decide the quality of life of the citizen. Now it has been seen that the parliament and the state legislature, rather than being the forums, rather than being the forums of the meaningful debate, what they have happened, they have become the stage of personal attacks on each other. Personal attacks are being made on the name of religion, on the name of this, that, different matter. So what had happened? The mockery of the parliament is going on. Fine, the disgrace onto the parliament is being brought by the legislators every day, and it doesn't suits to a country who is aspiring to be a world leader. So it has been said that now we are going to complete the 75 years of independence, and if the ambitions of India in making a world leader, if it has to be harbored, elected members, they have a special responsibility. They need to understand that they need to show statesmanship. Now understand this very impactful line. Supreme Court had said that the legislators, they need to show statesmanship and not the brinkmanship. They need to show the statesmanship and not the brinkmanship. Now what is this brinkmanship? So there was into the USA, there was the Secretary of State J.F. Dulles. There was the Secretary of State J.F. Dulles into the USA. He had basically came out with the theory of this brinkmanship. Now what is this brinkmanship? Brinkmanship is putting so much pressure onto that particular person that we will bring that particular person on a brink. Is it clear? We will just bring that particular person on an edge and we will take some advantage out of it. Is it clear? Just unnecessarily, not unnecessarily, just dragging a person in conflict, just dragging a person in a tension, bringing that person to an edge, and the moment when that person will come to an edge, taking some political advantage of that particular person's vulnerable situation. This is the brinkmanship. Now this theory of brinkmanship came during the time of the Cold War. John Foster Dulles, he said that we need to bring our adversary onto the brink when he is just on the edge, and then we need to take the advantage out of it. Is it clear? We don't need to push him so that actual war happen. We don't need to push him so that actual war happen. Just bring him on the edge, just bring him on the brink. Is it clear? And before the actual crisis escalates, take some advantage. Now what has happened? The legislators, they are pursuing this brinkmanship and not the statesmanship. They are just creating the ruckus, they are just creating the tension, bringing the legislators at edge and just trying to take political advantage out of it. So this is something which has been talked by the Supreme Court. Now you don't need to explain actually this brinkmanship and all these kind of a thing. See, these phrases, fine, just what I want to tell you here. See, what is important in your exam, fine, when you are writing any of the answer, and if you just use that what needs to be the conduct for the legislators, and you say that the Supreme Court observed that they need to show statesmanship and not the brinkmanship into the house, it gives a lot of impression to your answers. Now this particular thing can also be used in ethics paper number 4. It can also be used in GS 4, that is the ethics. If we talk about the ethics, guys, Gandhiji had given the theory of 7 social sins. Into the theory of 7 social sins, Gandhiji said that the politics without principle is a sin. Politics without principle, politics without the moral standards, politics without values is a sin. And today when the legislators, they are showing the brinkmanship in place of statesmanship, it shows the absence of principles in their politics. It shows the absence of principles into their politics, and it is nothing but a sin. And therefore there is a strong need for inculcation of political ethics. What today is needed? Today there is a strong need for inculcation of political ethics. There is a need of inculcation of political ethics. How the political ethics will be inculcated? By not only coming out with the foundational value for the civil servants, there needs to be the foundational values for the politicians also. There need to be the adherence to the 7 social sins. Fine, the 7 social sins are needed to be adhered even by the political party. There needs to be a strong ethics committee into our strong ethics committee. Fine, though ethics committee is there, but not a strong ethics committee. So it is something which we can talk about. Fine, that is about it. And now moving to the next article. To the poll booth with no donor knowledge. So guys, this article is talking about the electoral bond issue. Electoral bond issue. Is it clear? So in the past, in one of our text and the context article also we have seen it, and into the past few other articles onto the same issue has also come. Fine. Now this particular electoral bond issue, it is becoming a very big controversy, and therefore into the matters with respect to the election, this thing can be used. Fine. So therefore GS paper number 2, it can be used. Now understand this particular thing, that when we talk about a democracy, whenever we talk about a democracy, democracy has certain core pillars, and one of the most important pillar of a democracy is election. Election are not needed to be just be a lip service. Rather, there are the 4 pillars of a good election. There are the 4 pillars of election. That is FFTT. FFTT. Free, fair, transparent and timely. Free, fair, transparent and timely. These are the 4 conditions of a good election, and good election will lead to a democracy, the functional democracy. India being a democracy need to safeguard its election process. Fine. Now keep this particular context in mind, and now coming on to the article. So basically guys, the electoral bond scheme, it has been criticized a lot. Under the electoral bond, what can happen? Electoral bond is simply a financial instrument. Electoral bond is simply a financial instrument to make the donations to the political parties. It is a very simple mechanism. Let's say I need to donate the money to the ABC political party. What I will do? I will go in the State Bank of India. and in the State Bank of India I will give a check of, let's say, 1 lakh rupees, and I will say that please give me an electoral bond. When I will buy this electoral bond, I need not to tell that to whom I will be giving this electoral bond. I will just be given an electoral bond. Now this electoral bond, fine, it will be given to me, and what I can do, I in turn can give this electoral bond to this ABC party. Now this ABC party will redeem this electoral bond into their bank account. They will redeem this electoral bond in their bank account. Now this entire process is anonymous process. This entire process is anonymous process. Fine, my identity is not to be revealed. Fine, see, I will not reveal that where I am giving this electoral bond. I will not reveal where I am giving this electoral bond. When it is given to the political party, to that political party, I will also not be giving my identity. So this anonymous donation has come. Now who can receive these electoral bonds? Electoral bonds can be received by only the political parties which are registered under the section 29A of the Representation of Peoples Act 1951. Only they can get that electoral bond. Now what is the condition to get registered here? You need to get minimum 1% of the votes polled in the general elections, fine, into the Lok Sabha or into the Legislative Assembly. 1% of the vote if you will get, then only you could be registered here, and then only you can get the electoral bond. This is something which has come here, fine. So I told you that the donor's identity will be secret. It can be taken from the State Bank of India. Now guys, there is the assessment of this electoral bond scheme. The assessment of this electoral bond scheme. Now the assessment, it goes like this, that when we talk about the democracy and the elections, it has been said that the access to information, fine, information is very much important. Even the Supreme Court has provided that the complete information is to be given to the political, to the citizens, to the voters when the elections are going on. Now understand this particular thing. There is a political party. There is a political party. Fine. Now, while voting this political party, I need to know that from where this political party is getting the funding, from where this political party is getting a money. Let's say a political party is getting a lot of money from one particular corporate, and then later this particular political party will give the benefit to that particular corporate. This thing only I can know if I know from where it is getting the money. Now what happens? The political parties, they are deliberately receiving the money through the electoral bond. Is it clear? They are deliberately receiving the money through the electoral bond, so that later they can give this an excuse that we don't know who is giving us the money, because the money was received by the electoral bond, and on the electoral bond no name was written. So deliberately this particular thing has been brought to hide the source of their funding. See, there is a very big problem, that is the crony capitalism. What is this crony capitalism? Crony capitalism means that the corporates, they finance the political parties, they get them, win the elections, and after they win the election, the political parties will make such kind of policies, will make such kind of a law which will give unfair advantage to such capitalists who had helped this particular political party at first hand. This is the crony capitalism, and today the crony capitalism is leading to a lot of unfair advantage to the corporates. Is it clear? So what will happen? Through this electoral bond, the crony capitalism will be increasing. Why? Because the political parties will not share from where they got the money. They will simply say that we received anonymous electoral bond, and what will happen? Citizen will not able to know the origin of the funding of a political party. So this is the problem that has been there. Is it clear or not? Now the Supreme Court, what Supreme Court has done? Supreme Court has not given any hearing to this particular electoral bond scheme. Supreme Court had just given a very simple logic. Supreme Court says that the purchase as well as encashment of bond is made through the banking channel. Fine. So obviously black money is not there, as through banking channel the transaction is happening. Fine. The Supreme Court had said one. Secondly, the Supreme Court had said that if you want to see that corporate where they are donating their money, you can just go to the corporations, that corporate's financial statement, and you can just check the corporate's financial statement. The financial statement is available with the registrar of companies. Just go and check every corporate's financial statement and know which corporate is donating to whom. Supreme Court says that not a problem. But guys, there is a one very big problem. The problem is that see, these returns, these annual financial statements can be accessed by the citizen, but within these annual financial statements also, the companies are not showing that the name of the party that they had given. Let's say one of a company, one of a corporate's name is PQR. The corporate had given 10 crore rupees They will show that the 10 crore rupee expenditure happened, but to which party? We can't know. So at the end of the day, anonymity is still prevailing here. Moreover, guys, when these electoral bonds came, there are many other things which have also come, which is further bringing the corruption, which is further bringing the opacity into the political funding. Two changes have come which are problematic. Change number one. See, earlier there was a condition that only the 7.5% of the profit of a corporate can be given as a funding. Now this 7.5% limit has been removed, and the entire, even the 100% of the profit can be given through the electoral bond to a political party. Now, what is this particular thing? One more change that has come. Let's see that also, and then collectively we will see the implication. Another change has been there is that earlier it was provided that the company which can donate, they need to be at least for 3 years in the existence. Only the companies which are more than 3 year old, they can donate. Fine. The young companies, they cannot donate. So this provision has also been removed. This provision has also been removed. Now, what will be the implication? Implication will be the shell companies donating the money to the political party. The shell company donating the political party. Now, how this shell company can donate to the political party? Let's understand this particular concept beyond the scope of this article. Fine. So let's understand this thing. What will happen? Let's say this is Mr. Dang. This is Mr. Dang. Now, Mr. Dang runs a political party. Fine. Mr. Dang runs a political party, and the name of a political party is the Dengu political party. Now, this Mr. Dang is very corrupt person. This Dengu political party is a very corrupt political party. They have earned thousands of crores of rupees by the corruption. Is it clear? Now, this money they will use in the next election, but directly how they will show that this money, fine, if they will be using the money, they need to show the source of the money also now. So they cannot show this particular money. Now, what Mr. Dang and his Dengu political party they can do? Just they will create a fake company. They will create many of the fake companies. Is it clear? Now these fake companies, they will be doing some any bogus activity they can do. For example, one company says that okay, we are giving the coaching to the UPSC aspirants. Another company will say that okay, we are manufacturing the pen. Another company will say that okay, we are manufacturing, let's say, the computers. Okay, every company will say that we are doing some activity. They are the bogus companies. Just they will say that what happened, we have a very good business strategy and we earned a lot of profit. Fine. They will show that we have earned a lot of profit. Is it clear? Actually, no profit was there. What will happen? This money which was earned by the corruption, this money will be siphoned off into these companies, and this money will be shown as the profit of all these particular corporate. Is it clear? All these companies. Now these companies in return will say that okay, we have earned a lot of profit. Let's say in total all of them have earned 10,000 crore rupees of profit, and now they say that we like one political party too much and we want to donate this entire 10,000 crore rupees to this Mr. Dang's political party. And what they will do? They will buy the electoral bond. They will buy the electoral bond and will give the money to this particular political person and his political party. Now see, earlier only 7.5% profit can be given. Now 100% profit can be given, and just a company which was created yesterday, they can also give the profit. So what is the logic? Logic is very simple. I will just before the election, 2 months back the election, I will make certain shell companies. I will put all that money, corrupt money, into that shell company, and that shell company will then donate that entire money to my political party through the electoral bond. Now on that electoral bond, they will not write any name. I will receive the electoral bond. Some person comes to me, ask me from where you get 10,000 crore rupees. I will say I don't know. I just got an anonymous electoral bond. What has happened? It is nothing but an institutionalized way of pumping the black money, corrupt illicit gains into the political party that is going on. So therefore it has been said that this entire process had brought a kind of a corruption into the electoral funding, and the Supreme Court has not taken any particular cognizance of this matter, and this thing is just giving the advantage to the big political parties. Now what type of advantage is coming to the big political parties? Particularly advantage is coming to the ruling party. Now the money is coming from the State Bank of India. State Bank of India, it is a government bank, and State Bank being a government bank, the Ministry of Finance has a control over the State Bank. The Ministry of Finance can even know that who has donated. Even the donors know this thing. Even the donors know this thing, and the donors are not very much confident in donating to the opposition party, because the ruling party will get to know because of the control that it has onto the SBI being a government bank. So these are all the problems that have been talked into this particular matter. Is it clear? Even the election commission had said that we need to come out with some kind of mechanism, but this electoral bond scheme is just going on, and these are all the problems that have been associated. So this is all about it. Fine, I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Graft talks and the top court's inexplicable silence. Now see, this particular article has little bit of a kind of a has a little bit a tone which might not be very much usable for our examination. I will tell you first of all the background as what has happened. I will tell you the background what has happened. So basically, one of a judge of the Supreme Court, Justice Gogoi, fine. He had recently just one thing as a matter of rule. As a matter of rule, never in your answers write any name of a person, name of a political party. Is it clear? Avoid these names. Even avoid some of a derogatory terms that are coming into the newspaper in your answers, because you are going to be a bureaucrat. So you need to have such sense of civility. Is it clear? For example, I have earlier also told you what happened few days back. Certain apps by a derogatory name, they were into the public domain. Fine, it was a very big issue that was there. Everybody is writing the name of the app. It is a derogatory term. You being a bureaucrat should not write these names, just give indirect references. Is it clear? Though there is no guideline, but it shows the maturity of your write-up, just that thing. So please don't use any name. One thing. Now what has happened? The judge made a statement. What was the statement? The statement was, the question was this, that whether there is corruption in the Supreme Court. Whether there is a corruption in the Supreme Court. The judge said that the corruption is as old as society. Corruption is as old as society. Corruption has become an acceptable way of life, and judges don't fall from heaven. Corruption is acceptable, everybody is corrupt, and judges, they don't come from heaven. What it means? It means indirectly that there is corruption in Supreme Court also. The judges of Supreme Court are also corrupt. This is an indirect reference that has been given. Now guys, basically the article criticizes the judiciary. It says that when small matters come, judiciary come out with the contempt of court. Judiciary comes out with the contempt of court. What happens? The criminal contempt of court is applied onto the people. Now the contempt of court, it is a power that is given to the Supreme Court and the High Court. The Supreme Court and High Court can slap the contempt of court to any person. There could be the two types of contempt of court. There could be the civil contempt, and then there could be the criminal contempt. Civil contempt can be slapped on a person if he is or she is obstructing the Supreme Court's judgment to take in place. If Supreme Court's direction, if this particular person is obstructing, on them the civil contempt is applied. That is fine. It needs to be there because some people obstruct the judgments to get implemented. Then there comes the criminal contempt. Criminal contempt means some person, let's say, had scandalized the subjudiciary, had scandalized the authority, fine, or had scandalized the institution of judiciary. On them the criminal contempt of court is slapped. Now many a times this criminal contempt of court has been called as anti-democratic, undemocratic. Why? Because it is a violation of a person's freedom of speech and expression. I am coming out with my dissent. Into that dissent, Supreme Court will say that you are trying to scandalize the judiciary, you will be jailed. Fine, this is nothing but a violation of freedom of speech and expression. One thing. Second, the Supreme Court itself has provided that this criminal contempt will only be given when the institution has been scandalized. But when a person has made some personal remark, and on that personal remark, let's say a person has criticized, then the criminal contempt of court will not come. But actually, the Supreme Court has not adhered by this particular thing. There was the Prashant Bhushan case of 2020 that was there. You might have read it. Now the Prashant Bhushan, questioned the judge. Fine, will not take the name. Prashant Bhushan questioned the judge's integrity was questioned, and that particular thing was taken a cognizance. He was put into the contempt of court. Now basically a question mark has been raised onto the former judge of the Supreme Court. It has been said that the judge has indirectly said that everybody is prone to corruption, even the judges, they don't come from heaven. Now why the contempt charge is not being taken? Now why nothing is happening into this particular direction? On petty matters the contempt of court is being applied, but why now not? Why the Supreme Court is silent? So this inexplicable silence is being talked about. Fine. However, please don't go too much into this particular article. Please don't go too much into this particular article, because such direct critical criticism of the democratic institution is not which is required in our examination. Is it clear? Conceptual part is important, fine. However, just your judgment needs not to be there. A bureaucrat will give argument and not judgment. Always keep it in your mind. A bureaucrat will always give argument and not judgment, argument based on facts, fine. However, into the article a lot of personal opinion is there. Clear? So just this is the core message. Now moving to the next article. A fading red zone in Telangana. See, this particular article talks about a series of killing of some of the Maoist people recently. Just on January 18, many of the Maoist Naxalites, they have been killed in the Telangana. So basically the article first of all is talking that okay, at what time the raid was made, then where they ran and all these things, not at all important. However, this one term has become very much important here into this particular article, that is the greyhounds. Who are these greyhound? Let's discuss about it. This thing will be important for our GS paper number 3, internal security. GS paper number 3, internal security. Now when we talk about, guys, in India there is a one very big internal security problem, and this internal security problem is Naxalism. It is Naxalism. Now, first of all, the problem of Naxalism, it started in 1967, and the term Naxalism comes from one of a village of the West Bengal, that is the Naxalbari. Now, Naxalbari was one of a village of West Bengal. Here in 1967, a protest or a kind of a dissatisfaction against the landlords started here. Again, the local landlords, it got started. Local landlords, they were taking the land of the tribal, and tribal people were not very much happy. A revolution started here. Now guys, this entire small dispute turned into a big revolution. Revolution of three things: Jal, Jungle and Jameen. Jal, Jungle and Jameen. This is the entire Naxalism revolution that is going on. Now it started in 1967, and there were the two of the leaders, that is the Kanu Sanyal and Jagan Santhal. Clear? They wanted that the proper redistribution of land needs to be there. Tribal needs to be given the justice. They needed to be given their resources, and outsiders and the state who is interfering into these resources, it should be stopped. So therefore a movement started in West Bengal, and over the period of time it spread across the eastern India, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh. These Naxalites, these Naxalism, it is going on. They want to, now what these Naxalites want? Naxalites, they want to remove the state. They are the left-wing extremist, or they are the left-wing fundamentalist. According to the Naxalites, the state, it is an unwanted and unnecessary institution. The state needs to be replaced, and a stateless society needs to be created where the people will live as per their own, in their own rights and in their own capacity. People will be living. So they wanted to remove this particular state. They wanted to make a stateless society. They wanted to bring the communism. Now these Naxalites, they draw inspiration from Mao. They draw inspiration from Mao. Fine. So therefore, many a time they are also called as Maoist. What they want to do? They want to capture the state power through the combination of armed insurgency. They wanted to mobilize the people. They will form the strategic alliances. The people, the tribals who are dissatisfied from the state, from them the recruitment will be made. Guerrilla warfare is their preferred tactic. What is the guerrilla warfare? Fine. They will make the surprise attacks with a lot of commotion, and they will be targeting the personals, and into the end they will replace the state. So this is the entire Maoist movement that is going on. And what this aim of this Maoist is, what they have done, basically, let's say that this is India. They want to create a red corridor. They want to create a red corridor between the India. They want to divide, they want to basically cut off India in two parts. A red corridor is being created, and this red corridor they wants to make, let's say, from West Bengal, Odisha, then Andhra Pradesh through Maharashtra. They wanted to make this particular red corridor, and this is the entire Naxalite movement that is going on. Now guys, to deter this Naxalite movement, different state governments had come out with the different strategies, and the greyhound, it is far more effective deterrent that has been there. Now the greyhound, these are the special elite police forces of the Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Now the greyhound, they have specialized counter-insurgency skills, and they operate against the Naxalite and Maoist terrorists, and recently some of the Maoists have been killed by the greyhounds of the Telangana. They have been killed by the greyhounds of the Telangana. So this is an elite force. Fine. Now guys, these greyhound, basically police is very well equipped to deal with them, because the police, they can get the intel from the local people, and then they can carry counter-insurgency operations in a very effective manner. So the Greyhound of Telangana are a successful example. Other states can also replicate the Greyhound model of the Andhra Pradesh and Telangana and can weed out the Naxalism. Clear? This is just only the Greyhound name was there, which is important here. Apart from this, nothing is there into this particular article. So that is all. Now moving to the next article. At the center, now guys, this article is just talking about the Central Asia virtual meet that has been organized by the India. So the Central Asia summit that has just been virtual summit that has been presided by the Prime Minister, about it is talking. However guys, yesterday, that is on 28th January, at this timestamp 28 minute 19 second, I had covered this entire issue that has happened yesterday. Clear? Just day before yesterday, this summit was presided. Before that also, this was one article. So from past 2 days we are discussing this article. It is nothing but the same repetition of the yesterday thing that we have already taken. So if you have seen the yesterday's attachment, fine, 28th January, you don't need to go into this particular article. Nothing extra or different has been given. However, if you have not seen, then I will insist that please go and see this 28th January yesterday's discussion, because in much elaborative way, in much comprehensive way than what is explained here, we have already taken it up. So that is about. Now we'll move to the next. Now 6% of the MSMEs owned by the scheduled caste entrepreneurs. Fine, just guys, the data has been given which we can use in our GS paper number 3. Just the data is there which we can use in GS paper number 3, issues related to the economy and the development. Now see this particular thing. Maharashtra is the state which lists in the Maharashtra is the top state which has the highest number of the MSMEs owned by the scheduled caste entrepreneurs. The number is given here, but not very much important. Fine. Now when we talk about the proportion of the scheduled caste owning the MSME at the country level, their proportion is just 6%. So out of the total MSMEs are there, just the 6% of the MSMEs they are held by the scheduled caste. Out of them, actually Maharashtra has the most number of MSMEs. Not important with respect to our examination, just the data is important. Fine. Now exact number not important. Now guys, there is the Udyam system of registration of MSMEs. Which came in existence in 2020, and the MSME can register themselves into this Udyam. They can register themselves onto this particular Udyam platform, and all the benefits, all the support that the state gives usually to the MSME, it can be received by this Udyam platform. So this is something good which has come into this particular direction. So that is just about what has been mentioned into this article. After that, every state, how many of the MSMEs are there, which state, not important. Fine, for our exam. So that is just about it, one-liner concept. So guys, with this we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. Now we will be meeting tomorrow. Now we will be meeting we will be meeting on Monday. Till then, please take care of yourselves, and I believe that you are understanding the initiative and you are liking our initiative. Fine. So that is all. Till then guys, please take care of yourself. Please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much.